Bit. I want to welcome in our panel on this Friday morning. We start with our White House correspondent, Emerald Robinson, the host of Stacy on the Right, Stacy Washington, and from CPAC in Orlando, Florida this morning, political analyst Mark Halperin waking up with us down there. Look a little tanner this morning, Mark. I have a feeling you were sitting by the pool yesterday afternoon. No pool for you, just prep work.
No pool for me, just reading briefing books.
Yes, the exciting stuff. I want to start with CPAC. Obviously, a lot happening over the weekend. This is a very big weekend for conservative America, for Republicans, for the party in particular. We start with Ron DeSantis. He's going to get right at it at 9 o'clock this morning. Ted Cruz is going to talk today, Tom Cotton, Rick Scott. So what are you expecting from the weekend? Of course, it all ends with President Trump on Sunday evening.
You know, we'll see who gets booed and who gets cheered. That's always part of understanding the mood of CPAC. But I think the biggest thing is who defines the future of the party, who has a vision on the middle class, who has a vision on foreign policy, who has a vision on China. Donald Trump rose to the presidency with a speech at CPAC in 2011. He was entertaining, but he talked about the very issues that got him to the White House. So I'm going to be listening to see who sets the table on issues for Donald Trump, who will define the party as he has for 5 years, with his speech on Sunday.
Yeah, Mark, you bring up a really good point there. It was President Trump's CPAC speech a little over 4 years ago now, where he everyone was aware of Donald Trump at that time, but it was the crowd that sort of reaffirmed what I think we all were feeling at that time, that this guy might in fact be, the future of the Republican Party at that time. The audience at CPAC is a very unique audience, Stacy. So, it's always a barometer who passes the smell test, who gets the loudest cheers. I'm curious this morning how they react to Ted Cruz, for one, Stacy.
I think he's going to get a warm reception. He took a plane to Cancun to drop off his daughters and his wife for a little bit of warmth in a time where they needed it. And I don't think Americans are going to punish him for that. That was a media firestorm. So Mark makes this excellent point about the actual nature of CPAC. It's a kind of a bellwether in some ways. It's the meeting of all meetings. I'm watching my friends tweet about how they're going to be there, and I'm going to miss some really great time at the bar to talk and catch up and make business decisions and things like that for the coming year. But there's also, as Mark said about the speeches, there are moments, and you can tell whether you're there in the ballroom or you're outside on Radio Row listening to the cheers, or if you're at home watching the festivities from abroad, you really get a feeling that if a speech goes well, I remember Candace Owens' first speech from the stage there, the electric moment when she took the stage, and then when she began to make her points, it was as if people weren't even breathing. And so there are moments like that will happen this week as well.
Stacy, let me bring in Steve Cortez for a second here. We just want to welcome back Steve. Steve, good to see you. It is a huge weekend. The guest list, it's a who's who of conservative America, which is interesting. Before President Trump really committed to this, if you looked at the guest list 2 weeks ago, it wasn't sold out, and there were a lot of big names on there, politicians and other people as well, media folks. But it wasn't. Right now, it is literally you name. It's the playbook for 2022, 2024. And I think Stacy brings up a great point. I remember that Trump hotel in 2016, everybody gathered by the bar and in the lobby there and sort of talk shop. I got a tweet last night from a friend down in Florida that said that, yesterday at a lot of the hotels, a lot of people were out catching up. It almost felt like, we're back out for the first time in a year.
Right. It's sort of a conservative prom, right, every year, if you will, but it's really amped up this year. And you're so right. The president showing up has increased, for sure, the enthusiasm and the electricity surrounding CPAC. And I think there's two reasons why. Number one is that President Trump himself individually brings star power to it. He just does. He is a politician with enormous charisma and magnetism. But number two, and this is more important, is about the movement, that he is the exemplar and the leader of the America First movement. The Republican Party at an institutional level right now, particularly when it comes to legacy office holders, there is a battle going on because establishment politicians, people like Liz Cheney and Mitch McConnell, want to try to take the party in a retreat back to a 2015 and prior corporatist globalist mentality and agenda. The voters have resoundingly rejected that. And so I think a lot of the activists quite properly view CPAC as a chance to solidify and increase the America First domination of the Republican Party, the transformation of the party. And I think that's what Donald Trump will speak to on Sunday, and it's really going to be a must-watch event.
Yeah, they want to take it back to 2012. Mark, go ahead. They want it back to the days of Mitt Romney when we couldn't get elected to somebody in the executive branch.
Yeah, remember, this is the event where Mitt Romney said that he was extremely conservative, or whatever the phrase he used was. Right. I just want to go back to what Stacy said. It's so important. If you care about American politics and about America, whether you're on the left, the right, the center, watch CPAC events on Newsmax today. Listen carefully to what people say. But as Stacy said, listen to the reaction. This event is singular on the left and the right for giving us a sense of what is resonating, what's on people's minds. Show business matters, but so does the policy. So does the vision of what needs to be done to make America better.
Well, yeah, it's Stacy. You said it. It's a bellwether. It's the optics today, the round of applause that these different politicians in particular get. A lot of these guys have got 2024 circled on their calendar. Josh Hawley, Ron DeSantis. I think you could make an argument for Rick Scott as well. Maybe Marco Rubio. Emerald, welcome back. I heard some little voices in the background there. Do we have some kids at home?
Yeah, my 4-year-old snuck down here and decided he was going to get on TV too.
I want to see your 4-year-old on TV. I heard the little voices. I said, something's going on there.
You know, he's been doing his own news reports lately, and it's so funny because he'll do Newsmax, and he'll go, "Welcome to Newsmax, Newsmax." Like it's an echo. You know, I guess we.
Yeah, like an old-timey microphone. That's cute. How cute is that? Well, good to have you back. I do want to talk some policy. A lot, of course, happening in Washington. The House passed the equity bill yesterday. They will vote on the American Rescue Plan today. I want to play you a soundbite from Chuck Schumer, who's been out there trying to sell this bill to the American people. Take a listen.
One Republican member said that the American Rescue Plan was to the left of Lenin. Seriously, to the left of Lenin? Money for schools, vaccines, direct checks to struggling American families, checks that nearly every member of the Senate supported just a few months ago. Now it's to the left of Lenin. This kind of reflexive partisan opposition is not going to wash with the American people. It wouldn't wash at any time, but it especially doesn't wash during this time of crisis.
So, Emerald, it looks right now, so we haven't heard from Joe Biden. He hasn't held a press conference, but the big development, I guess, is that there will be no $15 minimum wage hike in the bill.
Yeah. Well, I would say if the American people all really got to sit down and look through the bill and read what exactly is in it, that wouldn't wash with the American people, as Chuck Schumer was saying, using that phrase. But, you know, I think going back to what Steve Course has said in the last hour, the 6:30 hour, if it had just been the direct payments to the American people, it would have been one of the most popular bills ever in history. And also, I think there is the idea of giving more of a tax credit to families in this time is a really good policy as well. That's a pro-family policy, but everything else that's in it that has nothing to do with COVID relief, that's just standard operating procedure. And like Mark said, it just is what it is, and it's going to pass because they're going to make sure it passes. And these things usually do, but it's unfortunate because it's just spending money on special interest.
Mark, your thoughts on the bill today? I mean, we know it's going to pass in the House, and then it'll move on to the Senate. And Democrats have made it clear they're willing to go alone on this.
They're going to go alone, and it will pass the Senate. A different version will pass the Senate. So the House is going to have to pass it again. They're up against that mid-March deadline when some benefits start to expire. So this is the first chapter of the Biden administration. And what we're going to learn from this is that they're willing to go it alone, that Republicans are able to stand in solidarity in the House and the Senate, not support what Joe Biden's for, and that Democrats have an extremely ambitious agenda, much more progressive, much more liberal, much more big spending than anything Barack Obama contemplated when he was president. And that face-off, that template of Democrats wanting to do huge liberal things that Republicans don't want to do, that's going to define Washington. It's also going to define the midterms.
Hey, Mark, quickly, we only have a little bit of time left. I know you guys are back right after the break, but what's it like down there in Florida? I know you flew down from New York, where it's still a complete lockdown almost in especially in New York City. But what's the difference? What are the differences to you when you're just spending some time down there?
The smell of liberty is in the air here as compared to New York.
That's good.
I didn't get around very much. I went straight from the airport to the hotel, but it's clear that this state is much more open for business. The Ron DeSantis strategy of how to deal with the pandemic is very different than the Bill DeBlasio and Andrew Cuomo sense. So as you go to the airport, as I've been in 2 different hotels and walked around a little bit, this state feels much more like pre-pandemic, post-pandemic than New York, which still feels very much like it's in lockdown.
Yeah, in a literal sense, a tale of two cities.
It's okay, real fast. Is this your first CPAC, Mark? Have you been before?
Is this my first CPAC? This is my 9th CPAC that I've been to in person.
It is? Okay.
Look at that right there. Is this my first CPAC? Come on. This is my.
It's neither my first CPAC nor my first.
It's your first one with a mask, though, definitely.
Emerald, it is my first mask. Emerald, I'll tell you the story about my CPAC experience 10 years ago with Donald Trump. My favorite CPAC story. Someday I'll tell you.
That coming up after the commercial break. What about that? Deep tease. Looking forward to that. All right. Thank you, panel. We'll see you guys in just a minute.